right, welcome back to the Ridin the Wall podcast for our second episode. We had so much fun last week. We thought we'd do it again, give it a shot, see how it goes.
Hell yeah.
Um, I'm your host Chad,
I'm Justin.
and we are brothers from another mother, friends all of our life. We're just sitting here, just shooting a shit about NASCAR, what we like, what we don't like, and we're not gonna hold back. You're gonna get what we think.
Yeah, we'll give you our opinion. That's a fact.
We
Might not always be right, but
No,
it'll be
well, it
ours.
hardly ever is. It's right to us, and that's all that matters, right? So let's see where we're going to start at this week. I want to go back to last week at Fontana, the last race in California on the 2 mile track. What's your thoughts on that?
That was a good race. I was glad to see Kyle prove his point.
Yeah,
That was interesting.
and I'm glad you say that he proved his point, because I was going to touch on that, because I know a lot of people are, and this goes all the way back to last year when the whole Gibbs Bush thing started. Couldn't find a sponsor. Says, "Oh man, Joe." I kind of think that's a bunch of crap. He could find a sponsor.
Yeah,
I mean,
Kyle
Richard did it pretty easily.
Right. Kyle puts that sponsorship in victory lane often enough. There ain't many companies that wouldn't like to have their name on his car.
Right, right. So I think the sponsorship was out there. He just didn't look. He just knew what he wanted to do moving forward with Ty. And I understand that from Grandpa's perspective, family, trying to get the boy off to a good start while you're still in the sport to help him get to that good start. So I understand all that, and I'm saying this because last year I was not a Kyle Busch fan at all, and the one race we went to was the one race that he won.
I've grown to like Kyle more and more over the past 2 to 3 years. It took a lot for me to become a Kyle Busch fan, but I've seen some maturity in him over the past couple years.
Yeah.
I was really happy to see what I've seen last week. I've never been one to go into watching a race and saying I'd like to see Kyle win this thing.
Right.
I never have.
I've never said that in my life.
Until last week.
Yeah. I was actually saying it at Daytona, also. I'd like to see Kyle Busch win, and I thought I'd never say that, but here I am. He's one of my favorite drivers now, just because of the situation last year and the ride that he found himself in now. Just because I was an Earnhardt fan growing up until Earnhardt passed at Daytona, and I've always been an Earnhardt fan, so that, along with that, you've kind of become a Richard Childress fan. So then, and the Harvick days when he was at RCR, I pulled for Harvick because he was in that seat. And then Harvick left, and I really didn't have anything to cheer for at RCR other than the old man getting a win here and there. So to see things unfold the way that they did last year, and as soon as Tyler Reddick announced he was going to 23XI, just knowing how Richard Childress was when Earnhardt was around, he's got attitude when he needs to.
Absolutely.
And that's a good thing with where he is. Car owners, you have to have some attitude at times.
Well, and that's the sport.
Yeah.
It's kind of required in that sport,
right.
is to have
you got to be able to
balls.
speak your mind. You got to be able to do what you need to do and do what you want to do. So when Tyler announced he was going, I thought, that's going to piss Richard off right there. He's not going to have him back for another year. He can't. It'd be kind of embarrassing to Richard Childress to have him back after what he did.
The talks were he'll either bench him for the year, just to prove a point. You don't do business like that in NASCAR.
Right.
And it was either he can sit out for a year or see what happens with 23XI, maybe buying him out. So,
right.
I'm glad to see. Tyler's a young talent.
And he's going to do He's going to do really well.
Yeah. Yeah, he will. There's no doubt about that. But just how to handle that business in NASCAR, I'm going to say he probably wasn't real familiar on.
Yeah. And I think he was pushed into announcing that early. Yeah. I think you can kind of see it on his face when him and Hamlin were sitting there at that press conference and they announced it. But
it shook things up for a couple of weeks in NASCAR. You know, that's always good too.
Oh yeah, you can always have a good shakeup. So as soon as they made that announcement, I thought to myself, well, this is going to be a perfect spot for Kyle Busch if he can make it there, just because he has the Earnhardt mentality, driving style that Earnhardt has. So him and Richard will, I think they would mix well as a team. And then it turns out that he landed there. So,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wanted to see him at Stewart Haas.
well, I'm
You
sure you
know,
did. I'm sure you did.
I mean, you can't. No matter how you feel about Kyle Busch, you can't deny the the guy's a hell of a driver. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, the only bad publicity is no publicity, and you know he's the one of the most hated drivers out there on that track, week in and week out. So I mean,
He
I
wasn't last week.
no, no,
He was
not at
not
all,
last week. So, and
not at all.
that really didn't surprise me, just because, um,
I think all the fans felt the same way we felt. You
yeah,
know,
they
it
kind
was
of they kind of had them same feelings as it was unfolding, and then once he signed with Richard, it was like, just take my money, you know, give me some Kyle Busch gear, and let's go to the races. So I thought that was pretty cool, and then to hear everybody cheer, I wonder if it took him off guard. He's been booed for so many years. To get out of the car and hear nothing but cheers, you
it
know,
probably did.
probably did a little
He
bit.
probably thought, well, this is a change. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
but he was smiling when he got out. You know, because he heard them people.
And
He heard them cheers. You know?
yeah, yeah, he heard them, and I also like that he's been very much appreciative of his team and where he's at and everybody on his team, which I've noticed just in these past few weeks of this year, he's been thanking them a lot more than he did last year or the years prior while he was at Joe Gibbs. So that's pretty cool to hear, and it shows more I was gonna say maturation. Is that the right word?
I don't know.
Maturing.
Look, don't forget
My
who
Southern
you're
Indiana
talking
vocabulary don't work that well. But
to. But no, I mean, also one note is, you know, it's you never seen pictures of Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin or Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. or uh, Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell, you know. But just in the past few weeks, uh, just about every picture of Kyle Busch that we see, Austin Dillon's in it with him.
yeah,
You know,
and they're both smiling.
right.
Seems like they're having a good time.
It seems like a good pair, you
Yeah.
know, and you know Austin obviously is gonna try to soak up everything that Kyle Busch can tell him.
Oh yeah,
It'd be
I hope he
crazy
does.
not to.
Yeah,
But it also seems like Kyle Busch might be a little bit different guy too, on working with somebody. But maybe that's the difference between a 2-man team and a 4-man team. You know?
yeah. It now that you say that, it does seem like he just looks like he's willing to work with Austin Dillon, whereas before he was just kind of there. He was doing his own thing on his own team, and the other 4 guys were doing the same. It wasn't really a camaraderie team where it looks like it is now at RCR.
Right.
And I think that's going to go well for everybody.
And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I like Martin Truex a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Denny Hamlin at all, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
Now, to me, you know, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin, those 3 guys are kind of up there in the same, what you'd call NASCAR stud category.
Yeah.
You know, so I get why. I'm sure Hamlin and Truex and Kyle Busch ain't up there trading secrets and everything, because they're all 3 just experienced as one another. Now, it did surprise me that I never seen Christopher Bell. I mean, I'm not behind the scenes, obviously, but you never seen Christopher Bell trying to get in there and talk to these guys. I mean, it might have been going on in the garage or on Monday mornings or, you know, whenever they do their team meetings. But, I mean, if you put me on a team with Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch, and I'm the rookie, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years in, I'm still going to be running around behind them guys going, hey,
yeah.
hey, tell me,
What'd you
teach me.
do? What'd you do? How'd you fix
Right.
that? You know? Yeah. Yeah.
But, and that goes back to my point. That's what it looks like Austin Dillon's doing. Austin's been driving for a handful of years now, and he's got some knowledge. He's got some experience on the track, but he knows what Kyle Busch has is a lot more than what he has, and he's attempting to learn it.
And that shows some maturing on his part, to be willing to do that at that
Right.
level. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I liked that last week when everybody was cheering Bush. Um,
So, last week there at Auto Club, there was a lot of people talking about what's going to happen when they do this new track and everything like that. And even the commentators during the race were talking about they thought they were going to leave rest of the track there, for other races, you know, and it looks like that's not going to happen. They're going to
yeah, it looks like they're selling the ground.
right. It's going to be a total demolition and build a new track. So, I didn't know myself on what are they going to do. They're going to leave the infield track. They're going to leave.
I think they're using the dog leg and pit road as like the basically the straightaways of the short track, and then they're just they're going to build some grandstands around that. It looks like from the drawing, it didn't look like a Bristol type of oval. It looked like the straightaways was longer. The turns were going to be a little bit sharper, but it wasn't going to be quite Martinsville. So it looked like it was somewhere in
That's good. I
between.
mean, we didn't need another Bristol or another Martinsville. And that's what we talked about last week. Was whatever they do, they need to make it their own.
Right. Yeah.
Make it stand out.
Make it unique to them.
Right.
That that would benefit them more than anything. Is to make it unique because that's what the fans want to see. Something unique. So, what else you got about last week? Anything? I mean, I hate to see that track go because I really, over the past few years, I think I've kind of enjoyed the Fontana track. Before that, it was just another track. It was just another. I kind of put it in the same boat as a mile and a half, but it's that 5 wide racing is
Yeah.
that's
And
incredible.
you can race it from the bottom to the top.
Yeah,
I mean, that was one thing we seen last week during that race was, I mean, you had trains on the bottom, you had trains on the top.
yeah,
You had guys on these restarts going 5 wide, and they could really make that car stick anywhere they wanted it to. Some were better up high, some were better down low, but they could they could make a pass wherever they needed to.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna hate to see it go, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with the short track.
Except
So,
Eric Almirola. I mean, I think he's still driving.
yeah, he,
That's who I took in our fantasy league last week, and I'll be damned, I got burned again.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You got burned on that one.
but that's what it is.
Yeah, well, that's about my season last year. It seemed like every time I had one feeling good about it, no, there's a wreck. My guy's right there in the middle of it, finishing 36th.
Right.
But
So, we've had a few pieces of news come out this week
yeah,
involving NASCAR. One of them being the rule changes uh, on 11 different tracks this season. They're going to go from a 2-inch or I'm sorry, 2-inch from a 4-inch spoiler. 30% reduction in downforce. See what it does to these tracks. It
and
looks like,
that's at the intermediate tracks.
yeah,
At the,
yeah, at the road courses and the intermediates. Charlotte Roval, Chicago Street Race, Coda, Indy Road Course, Martinsville, New Hampshire, North Wilkesboro, Phoenix, Richmond, Sonoma, and Watkins Glen. That's where they're doing this at. So they'll have a 2-inch spoiler instead of a 4-inch. What do you think about that?
that's a pretty small spoiler. Well, I think it's gonna.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 2 inches is a lot to some people. um, I think it's gonna make for some more interesting races. It's gonna loosen them cars up. That grip's not gonna be there as much as it would be, so that should make things a lot more interesting. I think might help save some tires a little bit, not putting all that downforce on them tires.
Keep the track a little cleaner.
Yeah, handling is gonna go away just a little bit.
They're also removing 3 of the diffuser strakes and engine panel strakes. I don't know what that's
What
going to
the hell is
cost.
a strake?
I don't know. but they're removing 3 of them.
Well, we don't need them anyway. Get them out of there.
So, I mean, it's I'm not. I'm sure it's got something to do with controlling that car.
Yeah.
Down with aerodynamics.
It
I'm
could be
sure
maybe, I don't know. What'd you say the word? Engine strakes and what else?
diffuser strakes.
Hmm. I have no idea what
So
any of that is, but I'm
the
just taking a
diffuser
guess that
is
it would
up
be
front.
with.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
That runs right at the front of the car. So I'm thinking it's probably got something to do with the wind tunnels on the front of the car. Um, Maybe the engine panel strakes is what helps keep the directs the air
Hmm.
in or away. Um, but
Well,
with the spoiler reduction and this diffuser strake removal, it makes me think that it's all related to wind and aerodynamic. So
yeah, it's going to make that car handle a whole lot different than what they're used to. Well,
right,
and they're not really used to a whole lot. I mean, they've only had this car for a year now, so
I don't
they're
think it's
just
going
now.
to make a I don't think it's going to make a huge difference on the road courses.
No, probably not on the
You
road
know,
courses.
so
I
I
mean,
think
unless it has something to do with maybe the way the car rolls in a turn, you know, that would be the only thing I could think of on a road
it'll
course.
be interesting at Martinsville. I think that'll be that just looking at the list, that'll probably be the first place that I could visually tell a difference. I think so. We'll see.
Mm-mm. That'll be interesting.
And uh, like I mentioned, we had a couple tidbits of news this week with NASCAR related issues.
Yeah. You gonna
Second,
bring out the big one?
yeah.
Okay.
The second one being Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
He's a
He's the golden boy.
yeah, he's the golden boy of the sport. Obviously talented,
Oh yeah.
but
I mean, I like the kid.
sounds like he's a lot better NASCAR driver than he is a snowboarder.
Apparently, I've heard he can't snowboard with a darn.
So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well,
I'll let me go back. I'll let everybody know what happened if they don't already. Apparently, Chase Elliott yesterday was involved in a
and we're
snow.
recording this while you're saying that. We're recording this on a Saturday night, so we heard the news on Friday night.
Right.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott was involved in a snowboarding accident, broke his left leg, and ended up having to go into surgery last night for this injury. Um, Chad and I was talking before we got on the air here, and a lot of athletes in a lot of different sports, they have clauses in their contracts with their owners, I
Mm-hmm.
guess you'd say,
Yeah. The owner.
their team, their owners, that they can't do this kind of stuff in the off season, or I'm sorry, in the regular season, due to the risk of injury. I'm not really sure how it works in NASCAR. I know a few years back they had them to where they had to maintain this healthy and safe lifestyle during the NASCAR season, but
Yeah.
uh,
And I think that was owner to owner. Some owners didn't care what you did. Other owners was pretty strict on what you could and couldn't do. And I know Rick Hendrick was one of those strict ones.
I bet he won't be next year.
But I heard he just changed. I was reading on it, and they said that he had just changed that. Was it last year, 2 years ago, when he signed Larson? Because Larson wanted to race, you know, all over whenever there was a
Right.
race. He wanted to be able to participate if he wanted to. So Rick Hendrick allowed him to do that, and he's kind of freed the other drivers up with that as well, so they can do whatever they want. And I'm okay with that. I think those guys should be able to do whatever they want during the week. I mean, it's just like me and you. We go to work. We got to do what they want us to do while we're at work, but when we're off, that's our time. And these drivers are
It
no
must be
different.
nice.
Yeah. But and these drivers, I think, are kind of no different. I mean, I
Well,
can see both sides of the fence.
I do too.
Because
Absolutely.
the health of that driver affects Rick Hendrick's pocketbook as well. So I can understand. I guess it just depends on how strict you're going to be.
Right. And here's kind of where I stand on it is, um, I guess if I was in Chase Elliott's shoes, it'd be one of these things of, how risky is this situation? I mean, yeah, you can damn well bet if I want to go fishing, I'm going fishing. It don't matter what Rick
Right.
and Jeff say, but that's not a very physical activity either. But snowboarding, I mean, let's be real. I mean, when it starts affecting my pocketbook, I'm Rick and Jeff writing these checks, paying these salaries. It starts affecting my pocketbook. It's gonna things are gonna change.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, they're all these a lot of these drivers are young guys. Most of them under 25. You
yeah.
know, and probably just as many in the 25 to 30 age group. But you know, we got a business to run too. Is how I look at it. You know, if you don't want the job, don't take the job. I'll find somebody who wants to drive this car.
Right.
You know, but
Easily replaceable.
I mean, a lot of these drivers could retire by 35.
Yeah.
You know, because of the salaries they make. So I get being a young man and wanting to do these activities and wanting to enjoy life, but you want to enjoy life right now, or you want to enjoy life for the long haul.
True. That's a good point.
That's
That's a
how
good point.
that's how I
And
see it.
and I can see both sides of the fence. I can see where the drivers would want to do what they want to do, and I can also see the owner's side of let's keep it reasonable. Um, but you've also got Larson out racing every week, wherever, all over the country. I know Bowman races as well. Not as much as Larson, I don't think, but I know he races quite often. See Chase Briscoe doing some of the same. And then you got Chase Elliott. He ain't racing. He's just out snowboarding.
Right.
And he goes down feet first. He's wheels up.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened
No.
out there on the ski slopes or whatever, but I mean, number one, I want to see Chase Elliott heal up and get back to the car.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I ain't trying to, pick on the guy or talk shit about the guy, nothing like that. He's a young man. Um, and honestly, he's great for the sport, you know. But
Yep.
he is the golden child of NASCAR, so it's gonna bring a lot of attention because he
Oh yeah.
is the golden child of NASCAR.
Yeah. There's gonna be some talks.
Right.
There's gonna be some talks. And that brings us to the whole waiver thing. The waiver for the playoffs. We was talking before we went on here about what do you think about this waiver? How is that going to work? I'm not really sure. I don't know the ins and outs of the waivers. I mean, I just seen them probably for the first time last year with Kurt Busch and Bowman getting their waivers to be playoff eligible, but that's after they got hurt inside a NASCAR car. You know?
Right. It was at a NASCAR event.
Right.
They
They weren't out there on their
got
free
the
time
concussions.
on a random Thursday. Um,
Snowboard.
Snowboarding, yeah. So is that going to affect his ability to get a waiver?
I
I
don't
don't. I
know.
don't think it is. Just no matter what the situation is, it's Chase Elliott, so he's going to get the waiver. He's going to be playoff eligible.
Yeah, if that car makes it in. I mean,
Which brings us, yeah, to the other point
to the
is
manufacturer side of it.
what Josh Berry's going to be driving this car at Vegas, and who knows how long now. With Chase being out indefinitely, I'd say if he broke his leg, he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, probably a minimum.
Right. Well, Kyle Busch did this a handful of years ago. You remember Kyle
Yeah,
Busch broke his leg
end up winning the championship.
right. I mean, it was at a NASCAR event too, so I mean, it wasn't like he was out there doing something on his day
Right.
off, But um, just like that year, I mean, Chase Elliott may come out. When Kyle came back, he won I think 4 straight races.
Yeah, he was on.
Dude,
He was on fire.
He made his way into the chase.
Yeah,
Came out, won the championship that year.
and he earned his way into that.
Absolutely.
So to look at it like that, what if? Let's just throw the what if out there. What if Josh Berry, and he's very good at Vegas. He's won I think 4 times there in the Xfinity Series. If he hasn't won, he's in the top 10 every time. I don't think he's ever finished outside the top 10. So what if he gets in that Elliott ride and he was to win the race? Or maybe not even at Vegas, one of these races coming up. He just surprises somebody and he wins a race. And he qualifies that car for the playoffs.
Well, just like last year with Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace, the car will be in.
But with that aspect, though, Bubba won a race last year. So Bubba was technically playoff eligible and they switched him because of the owner's points of
Right.
Kurt's car.
Right.
But this might be different. Let's say Chase is feeling the effects of this leg for a lot of the season, and he has like a Ryan Blaney season of last year or a Truex of last year. He's right there. He's in the hunt. He just don't get that win. But Josh Berry got a win in the 9 car. Does Chase Elliott qualify for the playoffs just because the 9 car qualified? I don't know how
I,
that works.
I wouldn't think so. I think you got owners, you got manufacturers, and you got drivers.
Right.
So here I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know who could tell us exactly how it works without having the number of some bigwig over there.
Where's Bill? What's Bill France's number? I'll give him a call right now. I'll see how this. I'll shake this out right now.
I got a new phone. It was in my old one.
Oh, okay.
But,
we'll have to dig that out somewhere.
But no, it's here's my outlook on it. Is if I'm Rick Hendricks and Jeff Gordon, Josh Berry goes out there and puts that car in victory lane, or if he races 2/3 of the season and gets the points from stages, stage wins, everything else, and he earns that spot,
I think I know where you're going here.
I think he should be in there during the chase.
Just go ahead and let Elliott sit out this year and recuperate.
Right. Do them NASCAR drivers even need their left leg?
Not really. They're good enough with the shifter. I don't think they do.
Right. But it's I like to laugh and joke and stuff like that. But I want to see Chase get back and get healthy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. These drivers and these team owners got to come up with something better to. I would hate it if Kyle Larson got injured.
Yeah.
Out there on a Tuesday night race somewhere. Somewhere in America. He's always in a sprint or a late model, anything. The guy, hell, you might catch him, racing his skateboard down Highway 31.
Right.
He just loves to race, but I'd hate to see the guy get injured or hurt, something like that, and take him out of NASCAR because he has so many people show up with those number 5 T-shirts on.
Yep.
A lot of people look at seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely going to be something to watch as it unfolds this year, just to keep up with it. I think we're going to learn a lot about the waivers.
Well,
at least I am anyway.
I'll be interested to see how ticket sales and asses in the seats go over the next few weeks because
I don't think it's going to decline at all.
No, I don't either. But I think it will. I think you will see some little effect because every year since Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been out of NASCAR, who's been voted the most popular driver every year consecutive?
Yeah.
Chase Elliott.
Uh-huh.
Me and you, we've been to a number of races together, and you probably see more Chase Elliott merchandise on people's backs than any other driver.
Well, he's one of the few drivers that brings his own merch hauler.
Right.
It's just a Chase Elliott hauler.
Right.
There's not too many drivers that have that.
Yep. And they wanted to get there every week because it's a Ford semi pulling it.
I have to look at that next time we go there. I'll have to check that out.
It's got to be there Sunday
dropping
morning.
The trailer off and getting the truck out of there before anybody sees it.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that. So let's talk about Vegas.
Cha-ching. Slot machines.
Yeah, big money.
Bunny ranches.
Yeah. Well, I've heard.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've heard.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
Right. I've never seen a slot machine either.
No.
That is what you was referred to, right?
Of course. So we know what happened last year at Vegas with the second race. We're talking about Bubba and Kyle Larson. We talked a little bit last week, and we said that's for another show. Do you want to bring that out this week, or do you want to save it for another show?
Well, I can sum it up pretty quick for you. I'm not going to say, Rubin's racing. Every diehard NASCAR fan, every diehard race fan will tell you that Rubin is racing.
Oh, yeah.
So
I beat the hell out of people when I was racing.
Right.
I wasn't rubbing. I was beating the hell out of them.
Right. So for I'm gonna say that Kyle Larson, in my book, didn't do nothing wrong.
He never touched him.
Right, right. So Bubba didn't like what happened. You know, he moved some air around on him, but never touched him.
Bubba
So
freaked out, put
right,
himself in the wall.
right. So my my honest opinion is, and I know Bill France and his boys ain't gonna like this, but Larson should have just whooped his ass all over that infield after what happened.
If
You know.
Yeah, if that was me, I don't think I could have held back. When I see him coming, you know what his intentions are because
Right.
you could tell when he was walking across the track
That
before he ever hit the grass.
but that not only was it a shitty move, it was intentional and it was dangerous.
Yeah,
You know,
especially if
the way them cars were built at the time, I know they made a lot of adjustments in the off season, but the way those cars were, I mean, look, I mean, Kurt Busch and Alex Bowman was already out with concussions. You know,
and looking back at that replay, I don't mean to cut you off, but looking back at that replay, just think of how he would have hit that, how Kyle Larson would have hit that wall had Christopher Bell not been coming up through there and he hit his car first.
right, and even those veteran drivers out there on the track, and I'm talking about Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin. You know, those guys were the ones speaking up, saying that was stupid and it was dangerous. You could have just killed Kyle Larson. Now, everybody knows, most people know um, why Kyle Larson was cut loose out of NASCAR a few years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and I think that probably in the back of Kyle's mind is probably where that was sitting at. If it would have turned into a physical altercation on Kyle Larson's part, all that stuff could have been brought back up.
yeah.
You know, that it was
It's a racial thing.
right.
Yeah.
Knowing him and Bubba Wallace are friends,
Hmm.
you know, I understand Bubba's passionate about his job and about the sport. I get that.
Yeah,
But
and they all should be at that
but I
level.
tell you
Yeah,
what, when you're a grown man at that age and you know no more about NASCAR than what Bubba did, you know, he knows Kyle's car didn't touch his car. You can feel it.
yeah.
But yeah, he knows that he got the wind taken off of him. So he was pissed off about it. It caused him to have a little issue out there on the track, but that in no way should have turned into Bubba Wallace doing what Bubba Wallace did.
Right.
And I'll say I'm proud of Kyle Larson for not putting his hands on him and trying to avoid that issue, you know, in the public eye. But
It's tough
I,
to do
I'd,
that.
I, I'd be a liar if I said I would have loved to seen Kyle Larson knock the shit out of him.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of people, and not because it was Bubba. It's just the incident and the whole way it played out. You know, Kyle didn't do anything wrong. He was just racing hard. Bubba, I don't know if maybe he thought he had a little bit more room there by the wall
Well, I
or
mean, but
whatever.
that's
Put
racing.
himself in the wall.
That's racing.
Yeah,
Sometimes you take the air off drivers
right. And you know,
to
at that level, you know, Bubba's had that air taken off of him so many times. He knows, or he should know. Surely he knew. And he hit the wall. Maybe he thought he had more room to give Larson a little more room, and he hit the wall, and that just made him mad. Because speaking from experience, I've been on that track. Well, not that big track, but I've local dirt track. But I've had somebody actually hit me, and it pissed me off so bad that I retaliated. Uh, and it's just a heat of the moment thing that looking back, it's like, man, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. And so, I mean, I've been in it somewhat of that situation, not at that level, obviously, but I understand tensions get heated and you do stupid things. But looking back at it, I think this is one of the things that NASCAR got wrong was the penalty. I mean, they only suspended him for one race. I think, a lot of people said Kyle Petty last year said he should have been suspended for the whole year, and I kind of agree with that. Just because of how many things he did that was wrong, and if it would have been any other driver,
it would have been any
they
other
would have
driver. It would have
been
been.
a lot more like pushing a NASCAR official. He twice, going over there with the altercation. That's just so many things should have got him suspended for a long time, and it didn't. But that's my take on all that. Just And I wouldn't mind seeing it again, though.
Right. Well,
Just just
I mean,
not
Kyle.
necessarily the fist fight, but hey, if it happens, it happens.
Right. I mean, Larson showed his maturity level at
Oh, he
that
did.
moment. Because just like you was talking about in the heat of the moment, we understand Bubba was upset. But it he has a lot of these incidents on tracks that aren't Daytona and Talladega. So I mean, how many times a year is this going to happen?
And he gets a lot more mad than anybody else does.
Right,
Whether it's his fault or not. Even if it is his fault, he gets mad, and you can just tell by the look on his face he's so much more mad than any other driver would be had they done the same thing.
right.
They can kind of wipe it off
Well, and I
a
don't
little
know a lot.
easier.
I don't know a lot of Bubba's past before Xfinity and NASCAR. I don't
True.
know if he grew up through the ranks of like your Kyle Larsons and your Chase Elliott's and stuff like that. That Ryan Blaney, that raced go karts and midgets and mini sprints and sprints. And I don't know if he came up through that experience to understand that these things happen in racing. I mean, that's how sometimes you get your win like that. You take the air off somebody and you get around them.
Right.
You know, Dale Senior was notorious for that side draft.
Hmm.
And people hated it. Well, I won't say people did, but other drivers hated it.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but that's how he got wins like that. And when you're out there on that track, it's just you and that car.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do aside from crashing somebody. You got to do what you got to do to get across that checkered line first.
Hmm. Yep. And that's the great thing of the sport. The fastest car don't always win.
Right. Most intelligent driver will win.
Right. I mean,
Sometimes.
yeah. If you go back, there's so much, so many stories being told of how people just figure things out. They don't have like the Junior Johnson. That's the godfather of drafting.
Right.
He figured that out because he knew he didn't have the fastest car, but he still went out there and won the race because he was using other people's cars against them. You know. Um, there's one thing I was gonna. What was it I was gonna say? I was gonna bring something up. I can't remember.
Well,
I'll think of it in just
yeah,
a
I'm
second.
sure to hit you in a minute.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, who'd you go with in your fantasy league pick for this week at Las Vegas? Who'd you gamble with in Vegas, Chad?
Well,
It's a gambling
I
country.
put my money,
All
and
in.
I hate to say this because let me tell you a little backstory about this pick. I liked this guy 2 years ago, right? He was driving the 42 car, an up and comer driver, and I was like, that guy's doing something, man. He's gonna be one to watch. And then last year happens. He's with Trackhouse, and I'm watching this Coda race. Last year I picked AJ Allmendinger at Coda, and I believe you had Ross Chastain
Yeah,
at
I
Coda.
did.
I remember it well. I remember it well because I still lose sleep at night over this race. Chastain was winning a lot of this race, and Allmendinger was reeling him in. And the Dinger finally passes him. 5 laps to go, whatever it is. I don't remember. 3 laps to go, something like that. Gets around him. And then Ross Chastain runs him off the track, and my guy finishes like 36th. Pissed me off really bad. I don't know how long I was standing there cussing at that TV. And he got his first win. He did good, but he had to run the Dinger off the track to get it. So I'm
Yep.
still, you might be able to tell, I'm still a little fumy about that.
Well, I mean,
about
on
that
the road
race.
courses, it's a little easier to get away with on that beating and banging. Like
It was plumb obvious that
yeah,
day.
right. I'm not saying it wasn't, but he was hungry for that first win.
Right, and if I'm in his shoes, I'm probably doing the same
But
thing.
I'll tell you what, Tony Stewart, even
They
the,
would have done the same
Dinger,
thing.
Senior, I mean, they'd all done the same thing. You're going to
Yeah.
dump somebody, especially, I mean, even you might have 100 wins on your books, but especially to get that first win, you're going to dump somebody.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I put all my money on Ross Chastain this week.
Well,
I think it's a good pick.
He's a solid pick.
Yeah. Last 2 times, he's top 5, was second and a third. I don't know which way it was, but I know he's finished top 3 last 2 times. He ran the truck race. I didn't get to see it all. I fell asleep during the truck race because I had some NyQuil in me. I had the good stuff last night, but I didn't get to see it all. But he was coming up through the field, and I think he was creeping up on top 5 when I went to sleep. So I don't know how he ended up finishing, but he got him a little bit more track experience there. Um,
Well, and I ain't gonna lie. I mean, Ross Chastain was on my radar for Vegas as well.
yeah,
But where I kind of had to differentiate was it, I noticed how good of a. I mean, dude's fast every week. It don't matter where you put him at. I mean,
yeah.
it seems like he can be a contender anywhere.
Hmm.
You know, um, but I'm glad I didn't take him now because we got so many road courses this season, and he's a pretty damn good road course driver.
Yeah,
And Chase Elliott is out of the picture right now.
yeah.
So,
I know. I was saving him. I was saving him, and now look what happened.
so it was one of them things that I just thought, well, we got 7 road courses this year. I'm probably going to need Ross Chastain somewhere else, you know. Um, so I ended up going with letting the suspense build.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I forgot who he picked.
No, I went with Kyle Larson, the guy we was just talking about.
Hmm.
Uh, he's another guy. I mean, and Chad.
He's a pretty good road courser too. Now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's proven his point.
And it was weird, Chad and I was talking earlier in the week, and him and I both had. We never told each other until it's time who he's taking, but we both had the same 2 card numbers in the back of our mind, the 1 or the 5.
Yep.
Um, the only reason I took Kyle Larson over Chastain was because I thought, you can only pick each driver twice through the whole season. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we got 7 road courses. You know, my strategy may be to use Chase Elliott on 2 of them road courses, but I got to have other good road course drivers. So, obviously you got Dinger in there. There's 4 of the 7 if I use 2 Chases and 2 Dingers on road courses. But who are you going to use for the other 3? And Ross Chastain may be one to save for that reason because he's good on them courses.
Oh yeah, he's real good. I mean, he's almost like a Kyle Busch these days. He's a threat anywhere you go. Because I was in the same boat.
Except
I had
Martinsville.
3. Yeah, except Martinsville.
Denny Hamlin got your number.
I was thinking of Larson, Chastain, and Kyle Busch just because Kyle Busch is on a roll.
Yeah, he's hot right
And
now.
it's going to be tough to beat that guy tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Kyle Busch wins this week, and then what we got after that, Phoenix. Now he's a threat anywhere you go.
Yeah,
So-
it don't matter. Even on the dirt. I mean, you can put him on the dirt.
Yeah,
and
he's
a
complaining the
threat.
whole time about racing on dirt, and then what do you know? He wins one.
Right.
It's-
That's the same way with Logano. I mean, he didn't grow up going through those experiences with Thursday night dirt track races out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But the opening race, the first dirt race, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
He went out there and won it.
Went out there and won it.
So
Can
I
never
mean, it's
count him
just
out.
about being a will man too. I mean, you gotta have. I'm gonna say 30% luck, 70% will man. You know.
And the patience to grind it out. If you're having some difficulty, just hanging in there, because
Well-
a lot of drivers just kind of they give it up after a while. They're just riding back there to collect some points.
Right. I mean, they've had two dirt races at Bristol.
Yeah.
The first one. I mean, but you also had 2 totally different tracks.
Right.
That first race was a freaking dirt. It was a dust bowl.
Yeah, they did it in the daytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a dust bowl, and I mean, you couldn't see
Couldn't
nothing.
see nothing.
And that just tells you how dry it was.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I went to that race last year, and I think we ended up with 9 or 10, stops of that race because of rain.
Yeah.
It seemed like 9 or 10 anyway.
It seemed like it.
It poured a few times, but that racetrack, Chad and I were sitting in row 1 in Richard Petty section.
Yeah. Right down the
And,
backstretch.
Yep.
It's great.
And that track looked like glass.
Yeah.
It was dirt, but it looked like glass. So
I mean, them Crown Vics, they got it lined out.
yeah, they did.
Them track prep cars, they had it lined
Yeah,
out.
you can always count on them Fords.
Oh, you know it.
Wasn't no Monte Carlos out there doing it, was
No, there
it?
wasn't no Monte Carlos out there. I'll give you that. They had about 9 or 10 Crown Vics just out there, just running it sideways around that track, and They had it pretty good. It was a good track.
Yeah,
I give them credit.
but I mean, that here we was at the same race 2 years,
Totally different track,
totally different track, day and night.
and that's the beauty of dirt.
Right. That exactly, and
Yep.
that's where being the best in the world at doing your job, NASCAR comes into play.
Yep.
I mean, you got dirt, you got super speedways, you got mile and a halves, you got road courses.
Yeah. You got to be good at
Yeah,
all of them.
exactly. I think they're getting a little carried away with the road courses myself, but
Yeah.
we talked about that last week. So
Yeah, we won't
relight
beat
that
dead
candle.
horse. So, talking about this league, I'm looking at the standings right now, and you are dead last.
Yeah, that's
That's
part of my strategy.
right. I understand. I used that strategy last year. I used that strategy.
I'm
all
gonna pull the
last year.
trigger sooner than you did, though.
Well, I think you might have with Kyle Larson. Though.
Yeah, that was
That's-
my.
I'm not too far. I'm not too far above you. You're 26th. I am 20th.
Yeah, I'm
Tied
just
for 20th.
I'm cruising out back. I'm waiting for the big one to happen.
Yeah.
So I can get through it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I know what you're saying. You're gonna drive right through that thing.
Yep.
Scott's gonna be in that big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
He's
good.
at the
I got a good spotter. He'll get me right through it.
Yeah.
So, I'm in last place right now, and it's it's not eating at me too bad. Just being 2 races in, going into our third race of the season, it's not bothering me a whole lot. I'm sitting with 59 points. First place has only got 12 points, and there's actually a tie for first right now. So
Right.
both of them guys have 12 points.
On
Scotty
my board,
being one of them.
on my board, I have Joe T at the top.
Yeah.
I've got Scotty right under him. I couldn't bring myself to put Scott right at the top of the list yet. Although he didn't give me much shit last week. Usually
he
as soon
texted
as
me.
he takes the lead, he was going to give me some crap, but he didn't give me much last
Yeah,
week.
he got a hold of me and let me know I had some ground to make up. So I mean, you know that's coming.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
We got an interesting group of races coming up that's really going to break these numbers up. I mean, heck, we got 5 people tied with 30 points right now. You know, so I mean, we got Vegas tomorrow. Obviously.
Vegas, I think we're still going to have a lot of. We're still going to be bunched up at Vegas or after Vegas. Phoenix, that's going to start to shake up. Atlanta's where we're really going to start shaking some points up.
I don't think Phoenix will shake up too much because I have a feeling, and I don't know if anybody in our NASCAR league listens to this podcast or not, but you always got Phoenix where, we got 26 people in our group, and probably 10 to 15 of them's going to take Kevin Harvick because that's, that dude, that is his track. That is Kevin Harvick Speedway right there.
That's not who I've got.
I'm
not picking Harvick.
Me
I've got my
either.
pick already for
But
Phoenix.
it never fails when people start pulling up stats. They go with them stats.
Yeah.
That's who a lot of people turn in,
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick. And so I don't look for the numbers to change a lot after Phoenix, just for that reason. I think Atlanta is where we'll see the big change because they made Atlanta the first official short track super speedway last year.
Yeah.
That's a fast ass track.
It's Bristol on steroids.
Right. So I mean, I think we're gonna see some great speed at Atlanta. We're gonna see a
Some
lot
big
of
wrecks.
accidents.
Yeah. I think I might have my driver picked for Atlanta too.
Yeah.
Maybe. I definitely have my driver picked for Coda.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And after that, I haven't really looked, so
Right.
I'm spacing out too much there. I better concentrate on what's right in front of me. I am in 20th. I got to catch Scotty.
I'm in 26, and I've got a lot of work to do myself, but I'm pretty confident. I try not to go off statistics too much. I try to go off my gut.
Right.
And that's burnt me sometimes. Sometimes it hasn't.
Oh yeah.
But I think anybody that took Kyle Busch this week, definitely a safe bet. When that guy's hot, he's on fire. I mean, you can't put him out.
Did anybody take Kyle Busch? I don't think anybody did. I'm surprised by that.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
I think 3 people did last week, but I don't think anybody took him this week.
Yeah, we had a few took him last week. No, we don't have anybody that took Kyle Busch this week.
That surprised me.
Yep.
Because I almost took him, but I thought, no, there's going to be like 7 other people that's going to take him. So that's why I went with the Melon Boy.
Yep. Well, I mean, we got to go with what our guts and statistics show us. I'm not much on, going off statistics. You can't. I mean,
especially with the new car last year, you can't go by what these drivers did 2 or 3 years ago at this track.
We hit on this last week when we was talking about. I made the comment that I put my faith and my trust in these big wigs at NASCAR to make the right decisions and keep the sport interesting. And
right.
Just like we was talking about, 30 minutes ago, they made some car changes for 11 different tracks. Going from the 4-inch spoiler down to the 2-inch spoiler, removing them things called strakes. I think they're doing that to keep racing more interesting. But how can you go off statistics with your fantasy league when you're making adjustments that big? It's going to totally mix it up.
Yeah, that is true.
So, I mean, those guys that had a lot of horsepower last year at these tracks, they may still come with a lot of horsepower, but now they're going to have a different handling car.
Right, that horsepower might do them in a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens. I mean,
yeah,
it's
be
definitely
that first race definitely going to be interesting.
I think the first one looks like it'll probably be Coda. So we might not see a whole lot. Might not. See, we may see something we can visually tell a difference on watching TV. Watching the race on TV, we might be able to tell some difference. But I don't know. I think it'll be Martinsville the first time we see it.
Will we see it at Martinsville?
Yeah, that's one of the tracks they're doing it at.
Now I know they weren't doing it at Bristol.
No. I think they know
because they had a short track package.
Right.
But wouldn't Martinsville fall under the short track package?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to track length, yeah. But is it going to be one of these? I think Aero is more important at Martinsville than it is on these road courses. But they're doing it on road courses and Martinsville. So, I don't know. I've never drove Martinsville or Bristol personally. I think Aero would probably
I've seen Bristol. Does that count?
Yeah.
I was in the stands.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I think I got hit by a dirt clod too.
Yeah.
Actually, I did. I took a picture of it.
Yeah, we ate some dirt.
Oh, yeah.
But we got to meet,
Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, we met Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, you got his autograph?
Yeah.
We were standing right next to a few of them.
Yeah, we met
Joey Logano. We were standing right next to him. He was a lot shorter than I thought he would be.
We met Jamie Mack and
Michael Waltrip,
and
Larry Mack.
Yeah. On the way out.
Yeah.
That was
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty damn awesome.
Pretty cool. I mean, we were just happening to walk out following the herd of people.
I mean, I
look over and there's Jamie McMurray.
That was pretty cool. I like Jamie Mack a lot. All 3 of them guys, Michael Waltrip and Larry Mack, and Jamie Mack. They're all 3 pretty damn good guys when it comes to NASCAR world.
Oh yeah.
But to see the height difference between Michael Waltrip and Jamie Mack, I mean he looked like he should have been carrying Jamie Mack.
I'm not a tall guy, and I was skying over Jamie Mack.
I mean, hell of a talented NASCAR driver.
Had a nice suit on.
Yeah,
he had a nice suit
absolutely.
On. He had a really nice suit.
Absolutely, but Bristol was a good time. We've gotten to meet and speak with a few people there.
Yeah.
And it's always a lot of fun just to be able to do that. I think that night race, Chad and I are big on going to that NRA.
Yeah, we're definitely doing that
Saturday night race.
Yeah.
But I think we rolled into the parking lot about 6 a.m.
6 a.m. We were number 1.
Yeah, we were the first ones in the parking lot. And the race didn't start till 6:30 that night, so we got the grill out, we got the cornhole boards out, and we got the coolers out,
Yeah,
and
it's the first time I've ever made bacon and eggs on the grill.
yeah,
I
but
didn't even know if that would work, but it
yeah,
it did.
well,
I'm surprised.
I mean, Jess was with us, and
I knew if
uh,
it went wrong, she was gonna step in there and
well, I mean, it was a big change for me and you going to the track, and me, you, and Jess going to the track. I'll tell you that, because I
she
mean,
had us ready to go. She
I,
had all of our
I'll
luxuries
give all
packed
you
up.
I'll give all you listeners a little insight here. When Chad and I go to a track, it's me
Bare
and
necessities.
it's me, Chad, and
Cooler.
two coolers. We take a cooler that we leave at the truck because we got so many bottles of water in it, and then we got a cooler that we pack around while we're talking to everybody.
Right.
So, I was exaggerating there with the bottles of water. I mean,
No, we didn't need none of that.
It was slap full of Busch Lights. So
Not a sponsor.
no, they
Not
don't
a
give us
sponsor
any,
yet.
they don't give us any money. But
But we're definitely drinking the beer.
when you got a good product, you got a good product.
That's true.
So
And then we after the race, we sat there for like 2.5 hours before we climbed this mountain to get out. Only to be so tired that we stopped in the back of some gas station to sleep for an hour and a half. I don't even know where we were.
yeah,
Somewhere in the middle of Tennessee.
yeah, we was up on a hill somewhere,
Somewhere.
back behind gas.
Yeah, back behind a gas station. I was like, I can't drive no more. I got to sleep for a couple of hours. Okay.
So go 1 year further, and Chad's wife Jessica, she's going with us, and she's great to bring along. I mean, she's
She
just
keeps us in line.
she's a great person to be around, and she does. She's kind of like that. You really think that's a good idea, you guys? She's
the
that,
wisdom on the shoulder, She's the angel on one shoulder, whereas we got the devil on the other shoulder.
right. So we get packed up and ready to go this past season, and I'll be damned. I mean, she made it happen. I mean, she made it nice, and
She even got us hotel rooms
right
for afterwards. So
Yeah,
we didn't have to
and
sleep in
who'd
the
have
car
thought?
by a dumpster in the gas station.
Who'd have thought?
She said, Mama ain't having that. Nope, we're staying at a hotel somewhere.
Yeah, so I mean, we had a lot less to worry about when Chad and I went, with just the two of us and a couple coolers.
We were just wanting to make our way home by Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah. My old lady, she's the type that I go to something like that, she's writing my name and address on my chest with a permanent marker because she don't know where I'm going to end up.
Wake up in a ditch 3 states over. You never know.
You never know. But both of them dang good women, take really good care of us.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Right. Not that we need it, but
No,
it's
no.
always good to have.
We're always responsible when we need to be. We just never really feel we need to be.
I mean, sometimes you gotta let loose. We
I
go.
mean, we've made it through life this far, right?
Right.
And we've done some stupid stuff.
Have we?
Well, we didn't think it was stupid at the time, but
No,
looking back, it's
we
probably
knew
pretty
it was
stupid.
stupid, but you've never.
You gonna tell on yourself?
No, I'm not.
Not this time.
Not right now. Well,
Mom might be listening. You never know.
right. Yeah.
We never do nothing bad.
But no good story ever starts with, well, I was going to church.
Right.
I don't have nothing against church, but I mean, a bad night makes for a good story.
Oh yeah.
Remember that, folks.
That's right. Your lesson for the day.
Now, it's funny you mentioned Scotty a little bit ago. He was kind of always that conscience to me and you. Like growing up, we pull these shenanigans, I'll call it.
Yeah, we call it that.
And Scott was kind of always that one right there saying, I don't know, guys. He was he was right there with us.
We had to talk him into a few things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk him into about anything.
Yeah.
But Scott was also that one that, you could count on him.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about that.
Although I am going to tell one story. I figured story time would be for the off season, but you never know when a good one's going to come up. So here's mine. We were early 20s, and this was back when Marilyn Manson was, a big thing. And we went to a Marilyn Manson concert, and my wife was there. She had never seen nothing like this. I'd never been to a concert like that. I've been to some good concerts, but nothing like a Manson concert. But so Scott went, you know, and we were young, early 20s, like I said. And, and I remember Scott had his face painted up, and he went down to the pit. You know, he was doing whatever he was doing down in the pit.
He
I don't
loved
know.
the mosh pit.
He
Yeah.
did love the mosh pit. So, like I said, Jess was with me, so we stayed up in the seats because I wouldn't. If I was by myself, I might have went down there. I would have got my ass kicked, but probably thrown around quite a bit. But since she was with me, I'm staying up there. I'm going to be the responsible, person. Be the good husband, and stayed up there with her. So we're sitting there and we're watching the concert, and this guy comes staggering up out of the pit, sits down right next to her. I was like. I look over at the guy, and I was like, damn, he just got his ass beat. I don't know why he came up here and sat by us, but he just got his ass beat. And Jess looks over and starts talking to him. Get away from him. You don't know who that guy is. She's like, it's Scott. I said, that ain't Scott. I've been this guy's friends for years, and I was like, that's not Scott. Yes, it is, dumbass. Look at him. So I looked at him, and Scott got wore out. His paint was all missing. He was a mess, but he was still walking.
Yeah, yeah.
Until he got to the seat, and then he sat down for a little bit. I said, Scott, you all right? Yeah, I'm good. Are you sure? Oh, yeah, I'm good. Well, that's cool. Just sit down here and hang out by us for a little while. We're not going down there. Just stay up here. No, I got to get back down there. He gets up, and he staggers his way back down there. Last I seen him for like 3 hours until we made it back out to the car. But that's my Scott story.
Takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
He did. That time he did. He's like, and when he went out there, he was just, head was going back and forth, and he was on a mission. So I was like, well, let him go. He'll be all right.
But that's kind of always been his thing, though.
Yeah, sometimes he's that voice of reason, but on occasion, well, I mean, he could be.
And when, Scott was never the one to get too crazy on alcohol and things like that. At these concerts, he loved going for the music and the mosh pits. That boy would get in any mosh pit. I know him and I went to a few Pantera concerts, and anybody that knows good heavy metal music knows Pantera is about the top of the list there.
Oh yeah.
And he's been in a few of them mosh pits, and I'll be first one to tell you they get pretty rough, and he made it all through those. That boy's took a licking his whole life, and and the people that know Scott even now know that's even more true over the past few years than any.
Yeah.
So props to him on that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of times he's kept us under control when we wasn't going to be under control.
Yeah.
So thankfully he was there with us sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was always that voice of reason.
Yeah.
So.
But that's my story for the week. I just thought I was thinking about it. I thought I'd just blurt it out there for no good reason.
Well, I got a few stories I could tell, but
I'm sure we got a bunch of stories between the two of us. We'll save that for the off season
or
random.
One of them involves damn near putting a Ford Maverick into Lake Iola. And
we've done a lot with that Ford Maverick. Yeah. I don't remember the Lake Iola story.
Well, you wasn't there, and it was your car.
That's probably why I don't remember it. That poor Maverick, man.
Yeah, you was at work. You and Jess were at work, and
who did it? Was it you or him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So.
And that was what, 30 years ago? 25 years? Well,
about 25, yeah.
25 years. Okay. And I'm just now finding out about this.
Yeah.
Well, you wait till I see him next time.
It didn't go in, though, I'll tell you that.
I guarantee it. It probably would have came out of it. That Maverick was indestructible.
It was indestructible. I have no doubt it would survive Lake Iowa. I don't know if Scott County has anything strong enough to pull that piece of metal out of that lake, though.
That's true.
They'd probably have to go up to the armory and get that tank.
Yeah.
But, no, it was... Yeah, we got a bunch of stories. Some of them you're just finding out, as you see.
Oh, yeah, keep listening. You're going to hear a lot of stories from us.
But, no, I think it'll be an interesting week at Las Vegas. So, everybody that's listening, we appreciate you listening.
Very
And
much.
keep
Very
on
much.
tuning in. We'll mix up this NASCAR lifestyle with a little bit of real lifestyle,
Yeah.
And we got Vegas coming up tomorrow. After that, we got Phoenix. They're on the Western Swing now, you call it.
Yeah. Western Swing. Two
So
more weeks. Well, this week and next week.
yeah, so we'll keep on listening, and we'll keep on giving you our 2 cents if you want to hear
Got
it.
one more.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, we do very much appreciate you all. Keep listening. You're gonna have some stories
Yeah, tell your
every
friends.
week.
Tell your friends. Tell your
Yeah.
family. Tell your wives. Tell your girlfriends.
Yeah.
You know.
They might already know.
Yeah.
Girlfriends, at least.
Yeah. Tell your wife and your girlfriend. Your life is your business.
We don't judge. We don't judge here.
No.
It's a judge-free podcast. But yeah, we'll wrap it up for this week. We'll come back at it next week. We'll be talking about what happened at Vegas. If we get another Bubba Larson experience or not. I don't think we will. And we'll look ahead at Phoenix. You might get another story.
Yeah. I'd say we'll all, including you and I, Chad, I think we'll all learn a lot about what happened with Chase Elliott and what might be coming from that situation
Yeah.
tomorrow during the pre-race. So, I try to watch those pre-races any chance I get. I very rarely miss a race, and but I always try to watch the pre-race. You just get so much more of a look behind the scenes when you're watching pre-races, and you get a lot
Oh,
of the
yeah.
laughing and joking and stuff. And I think that'll be one of the topics they touch on tomorrow a lot. Will be
That'll be
Chase
a big
Elliott's
story.
story.
Big
So
story.
you guys tune in to keep watching those NASCAR races, boys.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys listening to us, but we gotta keep them fans going to NASCAR races. Keep them tuning into these races. It's a sport we want to see
Keep growing.
keep growing.
New generation.
Keep on keeping on.
That's right.
So
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. And appreciate y'all for listening. And we'll
talk to you soon.
tune in next week.
Right in the face.